that is covering physical geography, and section B that covers human geography. Okay. Likewise, you see this one, this paper 2 again that is physical India and you have human geography of India. Okay. So this is your structure of I would say question you have in the optional paper where you have to attempt 5 questions in total, and in both the paper you have question number 1 and question number 5 as compulsory question, right? Compulsory question. Now what are the weightage also, or I would say what's the new structure of question you have in optional paper. Now when you see the new structure, especially after 2011, the structure of question has changed, and now you have 3 types of questions asked in optional paper. 3 types of questions. What are they? 10 marker question, 15 marker question, and then you have 20 mark question. Which means that the highest weightage we have for a question is 20 mark and the lowest weightage is 10 mark. Okay. UPSC clearly highlights the word limit for 10 marker question, which is part of question number 1 and question number 5 of both the paper, right? That means if I am talking about section A, we have question 1 here. Okay, this question 1 will have A, B, C, D, E, 5 parts, right? And all the 5 questions will carry 10 mark each, which means 50 marks in total for question number 1, right? And again for question number 5. Question number 5 again will have 5 questions, right? In paper 1 I am saying. In paper 2 you'll have a difference here. Okay, why? Because you know that in paper 2 you have one compulsory map based question, right? Compulsory map based question which carries 20 marks. Okay, so the structure will change. So this is your question number 1. Now other 3 questions which you have in section A, they would be just like this. Question number 2. You have 3 parts to the question, A, B, C. Okay, right? All questions carry equal mark, that means 50 marks, right? You have to attempt 5 questions. So 5 into 50, how much? 250, right? And you all know the weightage of one paper, that is 250 marks, right? 250 marks for paper 1, 250 marks for paper 2. Okay? You have to attempt 5 questions in total. Taking question number 1 and question number 5. Question number, जैसे इसमें क्या होगा? 1, 2, 3, right? Again we'll have 3 parts like this. Question number 4, A, B, C, like this. Okay? And then this is your question number 5. अरे 4 के बाद question number 5 आएगा ना? So again we'll have question number 5 here, and this question number 5 again will have 5 parts. A, B, C, D, E, like this. Okay? बात समझ में आ रहा है? Is this point clear to all of you? Now this point is very important for us because the change has been seen after 2011, not only in geography optional, that is applicable to all optional, right? With slight difference in comparison to other optional when you see paper 2. I will come to that part. So this is your structure we have, where you have 10 marker question. UPSC only highlights the word limit for 10 marker question. Okay? It says that you have to write answer, You have to write answer for question number 1, and word limit has been highlighted, that is 150 words, right? For 10 marks, right? For 15 mark or 20 mark, there is no let down limit by UPSC, right? That means there is no clear cut word limit given, right? So what should be the word limit we should follow, right? So the first thing is, if I am talking about question number 2, right? So question number 2 will have one 15 mark question, second again 15 mark question, and third question would be 20 mark. 50 हो गया? Ratio of 15, 15, 30 plus 20, 50. So 15 mark question, what should be the word limit? It should be 250 words. See, I am doing that basic exercise here, because I don't want any kind of confusion once I start my course, right? There will be no such discussion. So I am talking about the rules, right, so that you are not confused, right? You are not right. You are not searching for those things, right, which are very crucial. So 15 mark question, you have 250 words, and for 20 mark question, you should devote 350 words. So in total you can see 250, 250. Yes? कितना हो गया? 250 plus 250. हाँ? 500 प्लस 350 कितना हो जाएगा 850। ये अपना जनरलाइजेशन है, यही पे दिमाग लगाना है। अब मैं अगर ये 5 क्वेश्चन को लेता हूँ, if I take this 5 question and follow UPSC standard, then in that case, what is the word limit I am devoting? How many words I am devoting? कितना 700, और यही आएगा ना 750 words, right? Here is the trick, my friend, right? Okay, which means that in case you have to manage your time, you can say you can cut down here, right? You can make it 300. देखो 50 marks का weightage है, for question number 1 you have 50 marks, right? And I devoted 750 words, which also means that for any 50 mark question number 2 also carries 50 marks, right? Yes or no? It also carries 250 marks. It also carries 50 marks. So what should be the ideal word limit? कितना होना चाहिए? It should be 750 only, right? 750 only. So 250 for 15 mark as we follow in GS. याद होगा? Right? In GS paper you have two types of question, 10 marker and 15 marker, right? In optional you have a change here. You have 10 mark, right? Then you have 15 mark and then you have 20 mark, right? Okay, so in that case you have to apply your mind. There is no fixed limit here because UPSC does not mention the word limit for 15 mark and 20 mark in optional paper, I'm saying, right? So you have to be cautious here, and in that case you may make some rationalization here, right? Maybe 225, 260, and maybe you can sometime go for 280 mark, right? 80 words here, right? Rationalization कर सकते हो, you have a scope here, right? Because word limit has not been given. You have the limit of the pages only, right? Pages, समझ रहे हो ना? Pages आपके पास तो फिक्स है, उसमें तो आप बाहर नहीं जा सकते, ठीक है? तो more or less आपको ये समझ के चल रहा है कि जितने compulsory question को छोड़ के whatever other questions you are going to attempt, you have to target for, right? You have to target for 750 to 800 words, not more than that, right? Not more than that, because I believe that if I am devoting 750 words for 50 marks, right? This question carries 50 marks, so why I should go for any extra word for any other, right? Other question again where the weightage is same, right? Weightage is same, na? It is 50 marks only, right? So this is one point we should keep in mind. So you can see here 150 for 10 mark. Now if it is 50 to 250 words and 20 mark, it is, I said ideally it should be 350. Okay, but we know that in saying other question other than the compulsory question, there is no 10 mark question. Okay, there cannot be 10 mark question, हो ही नहीं सकता, ठीक है? अरे बात समझ रहे हो? तभी पॉसिबिलिटी है कि मान लो क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 ऐसा हो जाए A, B, C और D, ठीक है? Where you have A, B carrying 10 mark, yes, and C, right? C and D carrying 50 mark. पॉसिबिलिटी हो सकता है, राइट? यूपीएससी बहुत स्मार्ट है, ठीक है? पता नहीं कब क्या हो जाए, हाँ, पता नहीं किस बेस में कौन मिल जाए, ठीक है? तो इसके लिए तैयार रहना है, ठीक है? Till now what we have seen that in other questions other than compulsory question, that is question number 1 and 5, we have only 3 parts to a question, only 3 parts, right? In future, if this combination may change, right? And UPSC may go for four parts of a question, and in that case this combination is also a possibility, right? Okay, या फिर ऐसा हो सकता है कि मान लो ऐसा करते हैं कि 10 10 20 हो गया, ठीक है ना, और एक 10 लाते हैं, and then in that case the other possibility is agree to my point, ठीक है? So please see the previous question, right? I have already shared the file in the group, okay? For I have combined the entire question asked under UPSC exam and those previous question of APPSC exam also, right? So you can see the structure there, right? The basic thing which you have to keep in mind, the basic rule here is that we have 3 types of question asked: 10 marker, 50 marker and 20 marker. Highest weightage is 20 mark, lowest weightage is 10 mark. Now this is very handy because whenever you prepare a topic, you have to ensure that you have sufficient material for that question, right? any question which can ask from the topic carrying highest weightage, and what is that highest weightage? 20 mark, right? So you should have a surety that you are having sufficient matter to attempt such question, to write answer for those questions where you need at least 350 words, right? If you are having 350 words to 400 words for 20 mark question, believe me that you are having standard preparation, right? Okay? बात समझ में आ रहा है? This is not an academic exam, my friend, where you have to where you have to study a subject for 3 years, 4 years, right? This is one competitive exam where you have to always go for rationalization. You have to see whether you are studying a topic, right? You are studying a topic in relevance to this examination process or not. Whether I am having sufficient material to write upon a topic. If there is a demand, if say the examiner demand that you should write 350 words or 400 words, you should be able to do that, right? If you are having that position, if you are having that status, you can say that you are moving in the right direction. Okay? So all topics, keep in mind any topic in paper 1 or paper 2, right? Keep in mind that for all topic paper 1 and paper 2, you should have preparation of that topic, keeping in mind the structure of the question. What is the structure? 10 mark, 15 mark and 20 mark, right? So prepare all the topics keeping in mind 20 mark, right? 20 mark requirement, right? But in all possibility, I have seen that for 20 mark question, you will find not a single topic involved in question making. You will find 3-4 topics clubbed together, and a 20 mark question has been made, right? So it becomes very difficult to compress all those understanding, all those concepts into shortest possible expression, and that is the most difficult part, right? So study material, matter is not going to be a problem. The problem is what? The problem is mainly related to the interlinkages which you have to draw between different topics, right? If you understand that interlinkages between the topic, if you are clear about the concept, you know how the concept can be applied, then it would not be a difficulty for you. You can relate, you can integrate, and you can go further, right? Further beyond the domain of the topic. Maybe if the topic is from physical geography, you can go beyond that. And you can involve some human aspect also, right? That is a possibility, and you'll have this courage, you'll have this ability once we complete the whole syllabus, right? After the end of the syllabus, you'll have that confidence that I'm ready to generate 5, 7, 10 points, and I would be able to elaborate those points, and I can write 400 words, right? This much confidence you need, right? If you are having this much of confidence, I mean, again, I said you'll have a smooth sail in mains examination. ठीक है? तो इसको ध्यान रखना है कि आप कोई भी टॉपिक पेपर करेंगे तो हमारे पास ये स्ट्रक्चर हमेशा दिमाग में रहना चाहिए, ठीक है? Right? Like when you talk about the questions which were asked in optional before 2011, the structure of question in optional paper was quite different. What was the structure? The structure in UPSC was the question carrying lowest weightage was 20 mark, and the question carrying highest weightage was 60 mark. Okay? I'm talking about my days. Okay? ठीक है, ये हमारा टाइम का बात है, ठीक है? Before 2011. Okay? So now you can understand the task is easier here. Okay? Which means that if I prepare one topic, I have to keep in mind that I have an intensive preparation of the topic, right? So that I have a sufficient material, and I'm able to write at least 900 to 1000 words, right? At least I would say for 60 mark question. So it was more like an essay, right? Essay type question in optional paper before 2011, but now it has been made I would say it is more dynamic now, and so there is less chance of being selective here in optional paper, right? During our days, what we used to do, we used to cover, in the last round I would say, obviously initially we covered the whole syllabus, but in the last round, just before the examination, we used to focus on 70% of the syllabus only, right? By following a logical interpretation, by following a logical behavior of those questions which have been asked in the immediate previous years, and we can easily safely predict that this particular topic is not going to be repeated again in the coming examination, right? So we used to go for 70% of syllabus only, right? Just before the examination, right? And that was right. That was one of the successful strategy, because by leaving 30% of topics in saying optional means you are saving time and you can prepare for for other papers, right? But that is not a possibility now, my friends, right? So now in optional paper, I would say the approach has changed, right? The approach has changed. Instead of following an intensive approach, you have to follow extensive approach, right? You have to ensure that you cover 100% of the syllabus, right? Why I'm saying this? Like, just imagine you have question number 2, right? Question number 2 has one question from climatology. The other question is from environmental geography, right? And the third question comes from oceanography. Yes? Okay? I do not have that, see, I do not have that, that possibility here. I do not have that, I do not have that, that safety here to leave any of the unit. Earlier, I used to leave this one, environment. I used to sometimes leave biosphere also, that means biogeography. Yes, why? Because the questions were not so frequent, right? But अभी क्या होगा? Combination गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. You know 2 questions, right? You know 2 questions, but you don't know the third one. That means you cannot choose this question number 2. You have to search for other question where you know all 3 questions. Yes or no? अरे ऐसा नहीं कर सकते ना कि आपने यहाँ पे 2 आंसर कर दिया, ठीक है? आप बोले बस हो गया, मेरा 5 क्वेश्चन में, हाँ ना, दूसरा क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट कर लिया मैंने. ऐसा नहीं होगा, ठीक है? So accordingly you would be awarded, right? Which means that you have attempted 30 marks out of 50, not 50. Yes or no? So this is one change behavior we have in the mains examination for optional subject. I would say please keep in mind the structure that is going to help you a lot. When you prepare a topic, when you study a topic, always keep in mind what I require, right? I need the topic, I need the topic to suffice the demand of question ranging from 10 mark to 20 mark, right? If I'm able to write maximum 400 words and minimum 150 words, right? Then you can say that you have sufficient preparation, sufficient material, sufficient matter upon that particular topic. Okay. This is one important point I wanted to discuss with you. And now moving to the next the next exercise, and I want to put a disclaimer first before I begin this exercise. And what is the disclaimer? Don't judge, Don't judge yourself on the basis of the demonstration or the illustration I am going to highlight here. So you should be cautious here. Now, the reason behind this demonstration is to build some confidence among you, right? I assume that you all are prepared for geography, assuming this, right? Some of you are still not very sure, but if say you want to be sure, in that case we should do some exercise, and this exercise will take into account both paper 1 and paper 2. Okay. So this is part of confidence building measures. Okay. So don't again I said, don't be carried away. I'm taking one question from 2023 paper, that means 2023 UPSC mains examination, right? That is the first question itself. Just see that. right, this particular exercise, I said, is just to boost confidence and highlight one fact that generally in paper one you get direct questions, right? You'll have very direct questions, right? That means paper one is relatively less dynamic than paper two, right? This is the first point I want to substantiate with those questions, also or with these demonstrations. Now you can see this question, right? The question says, what is geostrophic wind, right? What is geostrophic wind? Okay, that means it talks about the wind which is product of two resultant force. One is pressure gradient, the other is Coriolis force, right? And the resultant direction of the wind becomes parallel to the isobar. We call such wind as geostrophic wind. Yes, this much you have studied in GS also, right? So here you just have to explain the wind. That means you have to define the wind. What is this geostrophic wind? That's it, right? For defining this, you need 50 words, right? आपने 50 वर्ड इसमें लगा दिया. You invested 50 words, right? And then the second part of the question says, what is the relationship, or explain the relationship between barometric slope and air circulation. Barometric, you know, barometer. Barometer is what? One instrument which measures air pressure, right? Okay. Barometric slope. That means it is talking about pressure gradient. Pressure gradient slope. So you have to talk about the pressure, right? The pressure gradient, right? The pressure gradient, or in simple terms, I would say you have to talk about the pressure, right? The pressure belts. Yes, right? The global horizontal pressure belt, right? You know the global horizontal pressure belt. You have two kinds of pressure belt. One is thermally induced, the other is dynamically induced, right? So you have to talk about the pressure belt, right? So you have two category of pressure belt. One is high pressure, the other is low pressure. Air pressure is of two types, you know, right? High pressure and low pressure, right? So by taking into account the global horizontal distribution of pressure belt, you can directly go to air circulation, and you can talk about what? You can talk about global circulation. You can talk about global air circulation. And when we talk about global air circulation, what we have to do? We just have to talk about tricellular model of atmospheric circulation. Just this much. Because you do not have the scope of including different types of wind system, right? It is said is only carrying 10 marks, and you have a limit of 150 words, right? I said, in saying every possibility will be devoting 50 words for explaining geostrophic wind, right? We are left with 100 words now, right? In that 100 words, we have to compress these two things, right? That means global horizontal distribution of pressure belt. You have to talk about thermally induced pressure belt, dynamically induced pressure belt. You know, high pressure, low pressure, equatorial low pressure belt, polar high pressure belt. These are thermally induced pressure belt. And subtropical high pressure belt and subpolar low pressure belt, these are dynamically induced pressure belt, right? And that leads to what? That leads to development of a global circulation, which is understood in the form of a model. We call that model as tricellular model of atmospheric circulation, which includes Hartley cell, Ferrel cell, polar cell. That's it, right? We talk about this, your job is over, right? Okay. There is no dynamism involved here, right? No dynamism involved here. Just direct, right? I mean, you have eaten something and you have to vomit it out, right? Okay? सीधा आपको लिखना है इसमें, मतलब there is no need to ponder upon it or relate this topic with any other topic, because you do not have the scope, right? You do not have that freedom here. The freedom ends with 150th word. That is the word limit here. Okay? Right? So this is one behavior you will find very common in paper 1. Paper 1 में आपको ये ज़्यादातर मिलेगा, where the questions are very much direct है, और मैंने simple question pick किया है, right? I'm not picking those I would say relatively more dynamic questions where 3-4 topics have been clubbed together and a question has been made, right? I said why? Because you know this, right? ठीक है? मैंने क्या बोला? आपका कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ाने के लिए मैं ऐसा कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? है ना. लेकिन फिर से मैंने डिस्क्लेमर पहले ऐड कर दिया कि there has to be right, there has to be no such emotional attachment here. This is not right, this is not the way the paper is going to behave in coming time. Okay, right. But yes, one thing is perfect, one thing is right, established, and what is that? In paper 1 you'll find questions which are of direct nature, right? Direct nature. We have right, either you know it or you don't know, right? यही option है यहाँ पे, है ना. Now come to one more question here. No word limit highlighted. 2023 paper. Okay. So I can see this question. What it says: explain the characteristics and weather associated with anticyclone. So the first step for any question is to highlight the catch words here. Right? Catch words here. What are the catch words here? I find 3 catch words here. One is the cyclone, right? The anticyclone itself. Second is the characteristics of anticyclone, and third, the weather associated with anticyclone. Okay, right? Now, what is the possibility here? The possibility here, just because you have 15-mark question, so the possibility here is to talk about the global, right? The global anticyclonic belts first of all, right? We talk about the pressure, right? Pressure condition, that means wherever you have subsidence of air condition, you know that, right? Wherever you have subsidence of air condition, divergence of wind, such atmospheric conditions are called as anticyclonic conditions, right? So you have anticyclonic condition found where? In subtropical high pressure belt, in polar high pressure belt, and then you talk about these two pressure belts in saying the sense of their evolution. One is product of dynamic action of the earth, that is subtropical high pressure belt. The other is product of thermal action, that is your polar high pressure belt, and that will help you to explain what is anticyclone. Okay, right? So these are your intense high pressure, right? I said these are intense high pressure system where you have subsidence of air condition and divergence of wind, right? The wind direction within anticyclone is clockwise in northern direction, right? Northern hemisphere, and anti-clockwise in southern hemisphere. These are the basic things you have to highlight. And then you talk about the characteristics, right? What are the characteristics associated with anticyclonic condition? You know that anticyclonic condition always leads to stability in the environment, right? Whenever you have subsidence of air condition, that leads to what? Stability in the environment the atmosphere becomes stable, and stability in the environment means there will be no much variety of weather phenomena, right? You will not find cloud formation, right? You will have no chance of precipitation. Are you getting my point? And ultimately, depending upon the surface temperature, the anticyclonic condition will lead to development of warmer air or cooler air. Like you go to the polar area, what kind of air mass you will find? You will find colder air mass. Why? Because the surface is very cold, right? Here, right, in subtropical high pressure belt, what do you find? You have anticyclonic condition, but that is not giving us cooler air, that gives us warmer air. But in both the cases, the air would be dry. Yes or no? In both the cases, the air would be dry. Why? You know the adiabatic process of heating, right? I mean, little bit of it. I'm just talking about this because this much we study in the GS paper itself, right? Okay. And these are the questions you have in optional. Clear है बात समझ में आ रहा है? So, right, that gives you a kind of, I would say, a boost to your confidence, or a kind of, mental strength, or I would say a mental comfort that yes, the other topics too can be covered, that can be managed, because these are the types of questions we see in optional paper. I'm talking about geography, and these are the direct questions we have in GS, we have in